Hi, welcome to Barvotti's 57th live screening of Tools for Creatives. I am Phoebe Bradbury, and today I will be demonstrating some of the tools that I use every day in my artist studio. I wouldn't want to be without them, and I find new uses for them all the time. There will not be promotional offers during the program because we made a mistake with the date. But there will be promotional offers on Wednesday, and it'll include our full line of products, all the shapers and all of the modelers will be on for your choice, 25% off. So the current time is 12 noon Central, March the 8th. Is it March the 8th?
7th.
March the 7th, 2022. My husband put the numbers in. Anyway, I'm blaming him. Right now, the promotional offers are not available, but they will be available on Wednesday. And so I'm going to, do I move over here now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to be doing things a little bit differently today. Just for your information, this is the painting that you saw sped up at the beginning. And it was one that we did very early in our show. It used, where is it? I think it's this one. Yeah, the 2-inch modeler to make it. And what we've noticed about our show, we're not getting a lot of feedback. We're getting a lot of people watching, but not a lot of feedback. So, but we have noticed that we seem to do better if we keep the action rolling. So we're not going to do a lot of explanation of the products. They're fully explained on the store, but I will talk about them as we go through them. Just not going to take special time for it. So we've got a really ambitious program today, and I'm prepared for it in a different kind of way, which is I'm trying to shorten the time between when I set up for one demo to the other demo. So today, I should say, this is a freezer paper drawing. Okay, so the first one is going to be freezer paper 1, and these are freestyle. Can't guarantee it's art, but I will guarantee that you'll get to see see these used in different ways. Okay, and then we'll do freezer paper 2. Wait a minute, I'm just going to fix this a little bit because we'll bring it in. When we're doing it, we're going to be looking at it like this, so we won't have the back of my board sitting there. So freezer paper 1. Freezer paper 2, we'll do a Yupo paper, metallic on Yupo. So Yupo paper, I'm just going to show you one. Here's an idea of what a metallic on Yupo is looks like. So that's okay. And here's an idea of what something on just pure Yupo paper looks like. Both of these took like less than 2 minutes to do. It's just a matter of knowing how to set them up. And we will do a pour. And that's like a pour, like a poured painting. So this is an 8x8 poured painting that I did a couple of years ago, and we're going to be doing, probably, if we're lucky, we're going to get to do 2 pours, and all of these will be using Barvotti shapers and modelers. And so here we go. So freezer paper 1, I'm going to set up right now. Oh, freezer paper freestyle. So here we go. Is that showing up good there? The zoom. Okay. So this, I'm going to paint it right on this paper. And the reason I use freezer paper is because it does a really good job of displaying the way you can use these tools. So I'm going to maybe make a design, or, oh goodness, just got these new bottles, and come on. This is a new paint. Oops, that's a quinacridone magenta in the new bottles I just ordered from Amazon, but it'll probably, these are the other ones I have. And this is a cerulean blue. Oh, I don't often use that. And what else? I know if I use yellow, I'll end up with green, so I'm not going to use it. Oh, I might. And with this magenta, apparently, if you use a, I don't think it's an airline yellow, I think it's a Hansa yellow, you can actually get a, am I showing up in the right spot there? More or less. So, see what colors we can get. So I'm kind of interested in what these two, oh yeah. It's supposed to make a red, but it isn't. Okay, so that shows you spreading the paint. And I think I should just play with it and give you an idea. Because the long drawn out explanations are not really always that great. Let's go in here, come down here. So spread, spread, spread. So now I'm spreading, and I've got all kinds of different colors on here. And if you're painting, you may not want something like that. So what can you do with these? You can make all different kinds of marks. So you could have a little block of wood that you can use freezer paper, because freezer paper makes really nice marks on the plasticky side, and it'll dry just exactly like this. The problem is it's not archival. I'll just show it to you here. So this is a piece of freezer paper. So it's slippery on one side, and that's the side I have up, and it's just paper on the other side, and that's what makes it opaque. Otherwise, I'd just be painting on plastic. And sometimes it bubbles a little bit because there's I am working with water, but it will dry, completely dry, just like that. And like, you know, it depends on what kind of pictures you want. For me, how well look at it, it's turning green. If I'm in a good meditative state, if I have some good music on, then I can do much better. But when we're using our program, we have to be careful what kind of music we use. Okay, to clean these, say I wanted to use a different one. I just used a damp rag, and it's completely clean now. And so here's my 3-inch, and these are sold, the mottlers are sold individually, and the shapers, which are like pens, are sold in sets of 5. That's a shaper there. So this just gives you an idea of what you can make designs by scraping through. You can make designs by, well, this is laying down. I'm trying to get it more in the middle. I'm getting better. And I have this lovely green, dark green. So now I'm making my flag designs. And then and just to show you something else that I do is I've taken a few of my mottlers and I've incised the edges of them. As you can see here, quite my good 3-inch mottler. That took a lot. And I'll explain to you later in the program when I'm doing this one, why it was worth the effort. Because that mottler, this one made this. Right now, we'll see what other kinds of marks. So here's another one I've fooled around with. You can see, oh, I forgot to put my gloves on again. So I call these my parallel line makers. Some of them they're all parallel, but some of them are bigger or smaller than others. So here's another one. I kind of like this one a lot because it was my first one I made. Here, let's see. Show it, yeah. So it's just got 3 chunks out of it. And I can use them both to apply and pull away, or pull into. So they're a lot of fun, and when you're playing with something like this, you think, oh no, I've ruined it, but actually, no, that's not true. You got a long ways to go. And even then, this paper is very forgiving, and even the Yupo paper that I'll demonstrate with later is very forgiving too. The difference between this and the Yupo paper is this probably can't be sold. It's not archival. And Yupo paper is archival and is as good as any of the best watercolor paper or anything like that as far as being acceptable to people who are buying art. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to take something a little smaller. This is my usual demo, which I often do, which is the weaving the basket thing. So, and this is a big green basket because I put blue and yellow on there. I'll just see if I can do something on the other side. So that's one thing there. Maybe what I'll do is for the basket going across, I'll use this one, which is a little different. Maybe I'll put some red out just to see if we can do that. So I've been doing this, like this is my 57th time. Oh, and by the way, welcome to anybody that's new, or welcome to everybody actually. But we advertised on our Facebook page today in Canada, so we're wondering whether anybody will come from Canada. So that's one, and then, okay, this one will go under. Let's go under, over, under, over. Okay, now you notice the red isn't lasting that long, so I could do it I'm not very good left hand. I could probably do it with my left hand. Let's see. So this one would be over, under. Isn't that funny? I can't do it with my right hand, but I can do it with my... There. Under, over. So you can see that it's starting, the repetitive marks are they form a design, and you can the eye will look at that and say, oh, that's a weaving. And you can do this much more carefully and slowly and stuff like that if you want to. That's that part. Now I'm just going to fool around because I don't really care for this too much. So just to demonstrate. So the mass tone of the paint is that dark tone, and if you wanted to see what, well, that actually demonstrates the other really good thing about these is that you can use them to almost totally remove the paint off a palette or anything like that. So let's say we're removing paint off a palette or off of painting we don't like. I'm just holding it sideways and taking the paint off each time I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Oops, well, I just used the muckiest side of the wet rag to wipe off my tool. And I'm just going to do a better job of that. So I do keep a pail of damp rags here, and so I don't have to use that one. I can use a fresh one. Here we go. I think I can use a fresh one. This one's huge. Okay, I'm just going to clean my tools quickly so I could. So that was the first, let's see, what was that? The first freezer paper demo, more or less to show you the different tools and how I've changed them in order to get different marks. I'll try and be a little more creative in the next one. There, we'll just take that off there. Put it down here. So I'm just trying to make this part of the operation a little slicker. I'm going to try and see where the middle is here. Zoom. Okay. See where the middle is. Okay. So we've been doing this like 57 times, and believe me, at the beginning, we didn't have a plan, and we didn't know whether the camera would pick up what I was doing. We're getting much better at it. So I'm going to use the, I'm a little puzzled by this quinacridone red, or magenta, because it looks way too purple for me. But it depends on the brand of the paint. So I'm going to use these. And, oh, I know, I will use one of my favorites, which is Indian Yellow. And probably won't use Payne's Gray, but if this gets boring, we will. Okay, so let's just play. I can bring it down a little bit like this, right in the middle. I'll try not to get too far off. So this is where I need music, Previn. So I don't feel terribly inspired right now. But I'm just going to try and get myself into this without worrying too much. Okay. The thing about this is you can play and learn to make new marks that you might not have thought of making before. And the tools encourage you to do that because they're quite unusual, quite unlike paintbrushes, let's put it that way. It's more like a, I don't know. It's like a squeegee, only you can choose whether you're going to cut the things off to make this sort of spaghetti-like stuff, or whether you're going to use these nice flat surfaces. I actually like a combination, and I also like to include, see there's a dark, and I have to remember to go over to the thing so that you can see what I'm doing. I'll go back, I'll scrape right down to the middle, to the down in the middle of a composition. And a composition like this is something that if I just can relax, then my brain doesn't do the thinking. I just let it happen. And then it becomes much more interesting. As you can see, as you can pull through different layers and stuff like that. And in that one we just watched, let's choose a different one. No, I like the size of this one. I could just take the axis there and make a circle. And it might not be perfect, but that's okay. And I can do whatever, I can put lines in just by touching. I can put lines on top of it, so I've got a grid. Anybody who knows me from art school knows that there's almost always grids in my painting, so you'll have to forgive me. That's an indulgence. Okay. So taking something like this and then maybe making it a little more interesting. Or you can take gobs and flatten them. Oops, I'm going to do this now. that one's a bit heavy. I'm thinking I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, no. So you can also make marks like this, straight, crosswise. You can go back in. Now let's take, where's my 1 inch? I think that's the 1 inch. Is that the 1.5? No, that's the 1 inch. So you can go in there and then you can say, well, I'm going to just take that out of there and that out of there. So it's like you decide what's on the surface and you decide what's underneath. What do I like about that? I'm looking at it at 2 different places. I'm looking sort of sideways down on it, and when I look, I also have the other view of looking right at it on the screen. So I'm seeing exactly what you're seeing, and so I'm looking down here. I'm okay with that. I find this is a bit left out. So I put that in there. Maybe that in there. Let's bring it down a bit. Oh, that's neat. I've got these new things to slide around a little bit. I can slide my picture around. Before it was just stationary. So if I want to have exact square, I could do that. If I wanted purple over in a different area, I could take it out of there and say, for example, put it in here or here. But that's when you start to get fiddly. It's actually, I think it's a better picture the less is done to it. I like that. Okay. So I think I'm done with that. And if I was going to frame it, I probably would just do the square and maybe leave a little bit out, because this is sort of weird, this stuff coming down here. You could do other things with it, I'm sure. But I'm going to just let that go. Take these off of here. Wipe my tools off. Very clean. That's the difference between this and a brush. I have a brush I've got sitting aside here that I use for one thing, and of course I ruined it because I didn't remove the acrylic. And these are all acrylic paints. Supposed to be. Where did I put my other one? Get a new one. I've done 2 Yupo paints, two of those, so now I'm ready to do a Yupo paper. And this one is not really where you fool around on. So the beauty of Yupo is that you can fool around on it because you can pretty much wipe anything off of it. But the other side of it is you're always got this background idea that, well, it's archival. You should make something, you can sell that's really nice or something like that. And so I'm kind of caught in the middle there. And quite often I just end up making something, not often, but I'm just trying to find that one. Anyway, oh, here it is. My tendency to make green is what this is. So let's see if we can not do that this time. And do I have my pink? Would you just grab my? I'm just talking to my husband here. I don't know if we're showing this one today, but this is the pink flamingo one, and it's got a metallic sheen to it, and it's called Flamingo Land. It actually has an up and a down. Let's put it there. So this is, I think, is one that is successful. Generally, I consider them to be successful if they're not green. And in this case, I've blended all the colors in. It's a red, quinacridone red, and a gold transparent. And the red is a transparent color, and the gold is It's actually just a transparent medium with flecks of gold metallic things in it. So that it is possible to spread this quite thin and still get a lot of really nice shine. So maybe we'll try, maybe not something like this, but something similar. But what the Yupo paper allows you to do is a freedom to make large sweeping movements. And it also has, I'm going to take it right in here so that you can see that the resolution is extremely high. So if there's any lines or anything on it, whether you first put them on, but it partly depends on the thickness of your paint. If your paint is too sloppy, of course you'll have sort of sloppy lines, but the resolution of it is so high. That's why I like it so much. And the other reason I like it too is that if I make a decent painting, I can then sell it. So we're going to just start with an empty Yupo paper, and I'm thinking, what color? And I pretty much talked myself into gold and this. I did, yeah. Let's try that. Okay. Not sure I have a lot in here. Oops. Spot, oops. Where is this? This is sort of off the center, so we'll put it in. We'll put it in the center, so I'll know where the center is. It's down here. I'm moving it at the same time, so it's sort of okay.
You're zoomed in quite close.
Oh, I'm zoomed in too close. Okay, thank you. It really does help to have somebody telling me what I'm doing and what. Okay. I want to get the whole thing in, actually. Here we go. Oh yeah. Oh, the funny thing is I tend to forget to look at the monitor, and so I don't actually see what's going on. So we're going to put a bit of red in that, and this is, like I said, it's a red that is transparent, so it'll give us a pretty red color, and it's got a sheen, and the gold will look dull until it's finished. So and I'm going to try to do this by keeping it in the same spot. Oh, I notice I have a little wrinkle in my paper there. So I've just grabbed, I'm not actually choosing. I just sort of get started. I don't really think too much. Whether that's your process or not, it seems to work a little better for me than if I overthink things. Oops, a bit more of that. And maybe a bit more of this. How's that? Okay. And I can also add some slippery medium. Just a minute. Here's some gloss. This is a transparent gloss varnish, so I'm just adding that to give me a little bit more fluid movement. Do you need that? I don't know. But now we're starting to see. I like it when the gold is not completely mixed in with the red. I think it gives a more interesting finish. But I often spend like the first third of the painting just spreading it around and seeing, what does it look like when I do this? What does it look like when I do that? What does it look like there? Oh, okay, that's nice. But then covering it over, oops, am I still straight? Now, the other thing that we've learned is that we have to keep our stuff fairly straight when we're doing this because we're filming it and then we want to use it again sometime. And if it's all wiggly-piggly all over the place, it really makes it difficult. So we're getting better at all of these things. So you can see that now there's a variety of colors and stuff like that on there. If I just look at that flamingo one, we live in the land of flamingos. We have, I don't know whether we have a picture if we got them. We haven't got one today. But we have flamingos migrating over our house on the ocean regularly. At least 2 or 3 times a year they're way out there. And they look very strange because you can see their body, which is pink, and their necks and their long legs behind them look black because they're usually silhouetted against the sky. So let's just do this. Oh, this is a nice size. I'll give you a different comparison of size. That's the 2-inch. Let's do one with the 2.5-inch. So a bit bigger. And I tend to like to start right off the paper, and that's why I put a special paper under there, and then go right over everything. And that's the 3-inch. See, oops, and I don't like the way that didn't curve just quite the way I wanted it to. So I could keep going with the 3-inch if I wanted to. So you can see I'm getting an interesting pattern here, which starting to, and I wanted to put a little bit more paint on there, so I just pushed it down a little bit, and so I did get more paint on there. So let's just do that. And scraping paint off. Okay, so now what I think of as the paint, I do it flat against there, and this is going to get the back of it a little bit mucky, but I'll just to show you that when you lift it off, it looks different than if you have it sitting against all the stuff you're slathering over the edges. So here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of these marks on. So I've got some excuse me, I had to sneeze. So I got one of these here. It's not mine, but it's one that I have cut out to make a tool. It's quite brittle. I don't know whether it'll last very long, and it's got a wooden handle. So ours have a compressed plastic handle, so they won't warp or split, but it still has a decent edge. And I just want to show that I'm going to put some of this in the background. Maybe a bit more, because I like that stuff as a background, but I don't really use it that much as a foreground. I've got so much paint on all of these now. So you can see how it as a background it gives an interesting thing going there. I'm going to cut. I'm going to take this one, and go like that. And I'm going to go like this. This. So I've actually pretty much taken off that background that I wanted. But like I said, this is not necessarily planned. In fact, often not planned. So let's try again. Got a little bit more fluid on there. And we don't have to put it all over, we can just put it where we want. Sometimes it's harder to cover the edges, so that if you're worried about what the edges are like, then put the background there. I don't know whether that's the best. I'm going to take it's like I'm making up the advice as I go along. I don't know whether that's exactly the best thing to do. So let's just try one of those nice fluid things there. And another one here. Just sort of offset a little bit. And then I'm going to go like this. And I'm just using the edge of the blade, the nice sharp blades that these have. They're not sharp in the sense that they'll cut you, but they will make nice movements. So I've sort of overdone it, but let's look at this. We're looking at that, and then we look at it like this. So it's not quite as bad as it looks. So I'm going to go back. I mean, it's not quite as overdone as it looks, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to put another 1 or 2 of these on. So, let's see, like that. So this is fun. Maybe a little more fun when I'm not being watched, but it is fun. Not very happy about what's happening in this corner here because it's a little bit ambiguous, but the whole thing is ambiguous actually. So now I had marks going that way. Maybe this time I'll take another one and go marks going the other way. And I'm going to make them a little broader. Oops, that's not what I wanted. That's not too bad. Actually, I like them going the other way better. Yep, I did. So I'm going to go one more time. Yeah. Let's do one more circuit. So the saving grace of this particular color and what I'm doing here is that it's so pretty in itself. It's not green. So in my book, it's going to work out. But I'm just going to put a little more on. Actually, what I should put on is a bit of this stuff. So this is just a medium. It's got no color in it. It'll change what things look like immediately, but when they dry, they will dry. They won't be white. They'll go absolutely clear. So it just gives me a bit more fluid. So it sometimes takes me a bit of time to warm up. And let's see. And then, no, I'm going to go like that, like that, like that. I may go like this. Am I done? I'm not crazy about it. Usually I reach this point and I say, oh yeah, it's okay. So I'm just going to do a little bit more in here. And I usually stop if I've reached this point with something, I usually stop when I can say, it's okay. It's okay. So I think maybe it's okay now. Yeah, it's okay. It's not my best, but it's okay. So that's the Yupo paper, just sort of free-form Yupo paper, fooling around, seeing what you can do with it. Now the next one I'm going to do is Yupo paper with black metallic on it, and that'll just take about a minute. Have you got something that you can show there, Preben?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Yupo paper that I painted black, and that's that's an example of one which has got Yupo paper. It's actually similar to the colors of the flamingo we just did, and this is the one that gave me the idea. in the beginning. This is just a picture of a royalty-free photograph from Camtasia. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, we should be able to do that with our stuff here. So we've gone through many iterations of it. Just do a few quick explanations because I do want to get into. That's one with on board with gold. This one is where we started to really move with the it looks very full of action. And so today we're going to do one of those. We're going to do it on Yupo paper. And it's going to take me just a second to, this is one of our first attempts. This was before we made that wonderful tool that I told you about. Oh, I think I will be able to do that. So this was using, where are they? This was using a basic tool, and then I cut it so that there was more gold flowing through it. So as you can see, this looks much more like our attempt. So we're pretty happy with this, and we pretty much stayed with this one. I don't like to cut my tools up like that unless I have a good reason to. So we're going to play with that today. And last time we did a blue, and I'm not sure we were going to do a blue today. It was a blue metallic. What I did with it. I like to show them if I've done them, but we did one with a blue metallic, and today we're just going to probably we can use the blue. We could maybe make it a little purple. This isn't gold. This is more a this is a stainless steel with blue. So I'm going to just and it looks kind of gray, but it dries like a clear metallic blue. So, and that's just because of the way the varnish dries. So I think what I'm going to do is add a little bit of this purple. Oh dear, I hope it works. It's not purple, it's magenta, but let's start with this thing. So this is this mixture. It's just a little bit magenta-y. Ooh, it's a little bit purple. So this mixture is mostly a thick, what do you call it? A thick medium, clear medium. It looks like toothpaste right now, but it dries absolutely clear. I'm going to add a little more red to that because that's what I wanted. So the magenta didn't quite do it. Okay, so this should be a sort of a purple stainless steel when it dries. And I'm just going to drop it onto the thing. Oh, that's why you don't do that, because it's dark. So it's not going to be quite as much fun as if it was light, just because you can't see it as well. But here we go. So first of all, once again, I spread it around. I think I need a bit more. And the beauty of the way I've got things set up now is I don't have to take this stuff all apart. I just take this tray and set it aside. I don't have to clean the tray. So it looks very dark. And I'm not going to add yellow to it because I can't imagine. Yellow and purple is just going to turn to a very gray black. So this is pretty. So you're probably wondering, why are you putting it on so thick? It's because I actually want it to be thick in the end, because I want the ridges of the purple to stand up. And I might just for the heck of it, put a bit of more red in it. And I may not, if my scraping through works well this time, we're not going to do a bunch of fooling around, because I want to do some other stuff. So here, in this case, these ridges are going to stick up from the paper and look metallic against the black. So it should look fairly nice. And my goal is to make these really nice curvy lines and not overdo it, but I'm glad I added that little bit of red in there because I think it's going to add a, I want to go across here. So you might wonder, why do you always go over the edges? And that's because I want the sense of I didn't stop at the edge. So that's it. I think that's it. I'm going to lift it up so we can look at it a little differently. Oh, a little bit red, too much red here. No, I'm going to leave it because there's some on the other side, so they are balancing each other. So it doesn't look it won't look fluorescent-y today, or not fluorescent, it won't look metallic today, but when I look at it tonight, it will have dried as a purple metallic on there. So I'm going to set this aside.
Set the whole thing aside?
You can set the whole thing aside, Previn, but the problem is I've lifted it up once. And so that's, if I set it on top of that, it will stick to it. But I can now set this whole thing aside. So the next thing we're going to do is poured painting. Maybe you could show Sandy Welsh talking about our tools on there, Previn.
Let's see. I'm going to go back to my little rubber spatula here. She had that big ball of dark. And then we'll go over it again with a lighter blue, but this will be underneath. So are we getting to look like this ocean? See? This is really cool. Where do you get the, oh, I ordered them from Amazon. They look like, where's my big one? I think they're called shapers. I got two of them. I got the bigger one. They're not expensive either. I got this one. I think if you just put in paint shapers, this will come up. They're nice, and you can use the tips if you want to sort of scratch out. Yeah, they had a couple different sizes, but I like them. It's the first time I've started using them.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay, so we're setting up to do a poured painting, and I wanted to, have I got enough time to do just a quick thing about what a poured painting can do. We're not going to be doing it on a Yupo paper, but what I want to show you here is a poured painting I've done a few years ago on a piece of Yupo paper. It's brighter now. I'm just going to go in and, where am I? Zoom in quite a bit. So this is where you mix up paint and then you get it, I want to turn it over, and then you turn it over and pour it, and you get these wonderful things happening, and then you work into it if you choose to work into it. So this is an example of one that worked really well for me. It worked so well that I used it for my my business card. I liked it so much. So here's my business card, and I'm just trying to find the spot where that is. I think it's there. Not sure, but I think it means I have to turn this around this way. Yeah, there it is. So I had this big piece of paper, and the thing about poured paintings is they can just be paint poured on a surface and you just leave it, or you can work into it, and I always work into it. So that's what turns it into art for me, and especially I choose the colors, and I really love the colors of this. And on the other side here, there's sort of my same business card. I've got both sides covered with this, two different places. I've got sort of like this chrysalis stuff, or crystals coming out. So I'm going to see if I can find them here. Yeah, there they are. See, so those long spiky marks that you see on here, those are drawn by the artist. That's not part of the pour. But the artist has to choose when it's dry enough to do that, because if you do it when it's too wet, they end up being wiggly, wavy lines. So that's kind of, so we're going to be pouring onto a little 8x8 foot board. So that's the original. This one here is the original, and this is the business card. So I've done it almost about the same size. So the business card has a lot more resolution than it needs, that's for sure. Anyway, we're going to try and do that, something like this. Maybe it won't be quite as, I don't know what the word is. But it took me a long time to get the stuff together to pour that and play with the colors and stuff. And we're just at the beginning of this. Okay, I got to zoom out. I was just told I have to zoom out, and I believe it. So here we are. We're going to do a turned cup pour. I just poured some white, reasonably thick but pourable. I'm just going to show you that it's not like, it's about like cream. It has to have a certain thickness or it's not going to stick to the surface when we do it. So one of the things you do is you take a white base, or that's basically how I learned how to do it. It could be quite different now. I'm just going to use a cloth to wipe my surface off, make sure it's a little damp. Sometimes you can even paint the surface first a little bit to make paint roll, but I think I have enough paint to cover. And then you add different colors to the white. And you want this stuff to pour quite nicely too. And I should have, I always think what I'm going to do next time, I'll do a little differently. And then I sometimes forget to do them differently. So I was thinking, well, maybe I would put some different kinds of paint in there. But one thing I did last time, which was wrong, is you can add oil. It's supposed to make little bubbles. So you can add some very special oil, but you should only add it to one of the paints. And I made the mistake of adding it to the white paint. And as a result, the pour was ruined. So for those of you who were watching last time, it looked really nice until I realized that there was an oily film on the surface. And I'd obviously added way too much oil, and I had added it to the wrong cup. It should have been added to one of the little cups. So let's see what happens here. I wasn't mixing this one up before like that, but I've ended up with these great big white gaping holes. There's no yellow in there. I'm going to put a little bit of yellow in there. I'll put this. So this is a fun thing to do because it's something you can fool around with and keep track of what you're doing and then do something else. So I've Velcroed these little things to the bottom of my surface. I make these little wooden things. These are ones left over for ones I made a couple of years ago. But it's an 8x8 inch square. And the reason I do an 8x8 inch square is that I can put it on my really good scanner. So now I'm going to lift this. How am I doing for time? We might have time for two. Oh, this actually looks a little better than usual. Ooh. So I've been struggling with this. Let's put it that way. Demonstrating something I half remembered, but was actually pretty good at it. So this is very pretty colors. I want it to sort of spread by itself, and it may not. And I do see There's something that they call it cells or something. I'm actually going to put a little bit of this stuff along the edge. So where I use my tools, these tools, is mostly for sort of encouraging this stuff to go in certain areas and for painting the sides. So when I get this dripping down like this, and I don't have my rotary table here today because I thought I would try it without. I think it sometimes adds to the complexity. So let's just see if we can move things gently in this direction. So there's about, I would say there's at least 2, maybe 3 millimeters deep of paint along there. So there's plenty on here. So I'm going to, and it should be dripping off this side pretty soon. And this is going to be dripping off this side too. So the nice thing about having a carousel is that I would be able to turn it around and get the drippy paint off the other side, which I can't really do right now. Let's see. Oh, there, we're getting lots of nice paint here. So I just paint the sides with the drippings. Sort of like basting a turkey or something. I don't know why that image came into my mind. Let me baste my Yupo. It's not Yupo. Yupo does a wonderful job of this, but I can't demonstrate that until I have a support for the Yupo paper that I can set it up and it'll lay flat. So let's go here. Oh. So if you only use a few colors and they're colors that sort of go together, you can get this wonderful. So I purposefully didn't put much yellow in this. You can see it all in one spot over there. So let's just see what we can do with that. Sometimes you can spread it around a little bit so that it shows up in a few others. There's a little bit there. So I was planning on doing 2 pours today, but it looks like I don't have time, but that's okay. We're ready to do an extra one next day. Please let us know what parts of the show you enjoyed, and we would really, really like to know the parts that you found boring so that we can work towards eliminating them or making them less boring. And we are working towards being able to answer questions. We've managed to have one question that needed to be answered, and we would like to do more of that. And when we get our studio updated, we don't know when exactly that's going to happen, maybe in the next month and a half. We're getting a big new, brand new artist easel, and we'll probably be moving to a bigger studio. Oh, this is actually not looking too bad. Now, see if I had my, see, I'm going to pick it up. Oops. Oops, it's sticking. So often when I'm working alone like this, I just go around like that. I don't want to get this crap, just stuff on my new, oops, and I don't want that to go rolling off the side because that's quite pretty. So this is showing the classic signs of, if I'm holding it, I will tip it a bit, and then some of my favorite stuff just whirls off the side. So I'm going to try to set it down again pretty quick. Oops. There we go. And it is tilted. So I'm not sure whether my little Velcro legs work that well. I used to use pins, but they had their problems too. So when this shows signs of like stopping, and probably not before, I will make my marks into the pour. And the reason I don't, like I say, I don't like to make it before, because that means they're going to move and look wiggly and not very well directed and that sort of thing. So I have reason to believe that this needs to come down here. That's better. So I didn't go through all our tools today. So we worked mostly with the shapers. No, the shapers. We worked mostly with the mottlers, which are these little fat things. But we do have shapers. And this is, you're looking at the very smallest ones right now. And there are 3 millimeters across the bottom edge. But this is exactly where I use these, is by redirecting some of these marks here, because I like them. I like marks to go across each other. So that's what I'm doing here. Can you see it? I'll just bring it in a little bit. Oops. Oops. So probably if you look at this little purple one up here, I'll just go, Now it's probably a good idea to, if I'm going through something like this, to wipe it off between. Otherwise I will be pulling that back into that. So these are things I'm remembering now that I've I've started to do this again. I made about 50 paintings, maybe a little more, about the idea was that it was about the Chicxulub crater, or the Chicxulub, what was it, the asteroid that came and fell right in the Gulf of Mexico, or you could say even made the Gulf of Mexico, and all of the differences in the rocks and stuff, and all the things that happened, and how everything became molten and stuff like that. So a lot of those were influenced by this awareness of the Chicxulub crater, which is, we were living in the town of Chicxulub at the time. So the demise of the dinosaurs. That's what they say. That okay, so I'm not. I think I'm through with this. I think it's going to work better than the last one. I don't think it's going to disappear because I put a bunch of oil in it. But I'm just going to pull that across. And you know, like I could go through this and you know, put little choppy marks and stuff. But I think I'll just leave it. It's pretty. It's different. It's very busy. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it. And that is the show for today. Thank you for, I should get over here, I guess. And get to the part where, is this painting visible? Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a poured painting as well. It was done on a little 8-inch piece. And this just goes to show, if you look here, you can see this is where I drew through with a fine marker. And then I sent it out to a printer in Mexico City. And he printed this little 8-inch by 8-inch up into, I think it's 1.5 meters square. So it's quite nice, and it can be made much, much larger. And I call it my devil painting because every time I look at it, I start to see all of these weird, weird marks that look like they might be little devils. Anyway, thank you for joining us today. You can find us here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Central to do demonstrations, answer your questions, take suggestions. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday.